Welcome back to Precious Blood Renewal Center as we continue to gather and reflect on what it means to live in the season of the Holy Spirit. Tonight we're going to reflect on the fifth word that captures what it means to live under the influence of the Holy Spirit, empower, of which this flowing fountain reminds me. The same Holy Spirit who sent the disciples with confidence also sends you and me to make a positive difference in the world. Now we must discover and live our God-given gifts. When we do ordinary things under the influence of the Holy Spirit with great love, we make a difference in ourselves and in other people's lives. We gradually transform the world into something new. If you remember hearing the gospel from the Mass last Sunday, Jesus told a story about how a little bit of yeast in a large amount of dough has an amazing effect to transform it, to make it rise. And so it is with us. If we do even little actions under the influence of the Holy Spirit, our actions will have a transforming effect on the world around us. I have a plaque in my room with a famous quote from St. Ignatius of Loyola, which says, "Go forth and set the world on fire." Go forth and set the world on fire. Perhaps you've heard this dialogue before that goes on between God and an individual. It goes like this. And God said, "Go." And we said, "Who? Us?" God said, "Yes, you." And we said, "But we're not ready yet. And there is company coming. And we can't leave the kids. And you know there is no one to take our place." And God said, "You're stalling." God said again, "Go." And we said, "We don't want to." And God said, "I didn't ask if you wanted to." And we said, "Listen, we're not that kind of people to get involved with others. Besides, our family won't like it. And what will the neighbors think?" And God said, "Baloney." And God said yet a third time, "Go." We said, "Do we have to?" God said, "Do you love me?" And we said, "Look, we're scared. People might misunderstand and laugh at us. And we can't do it all by ourselves." And God said, "Where do you think I'll be?" And we sighed and said, "Here we are, Lord. Send us." The Holy Spirit sets us free and at the same time compels us to right action. But we must give the Holy Spirit something to work with. If no one ever has the courage to proclaim it, its power will remain dormant and unused. Through the Holy Spirit, we can find courage to be truth's courage and voice in the world. The Spirit of God is not some vague being living in some distant, faraway heaven. The Holy Spirit is with us, Emmanuel, continuing throughout history. The same Holy Spirit who empowered St. Peter to proclaim the resurrection of Christ with such boldness, the same Holy Spirit who gave St. Paul the courage and persistence to preach throughout the Roman Empire, the same Holy Spirit who sustained Mary every day of her life. This Spirit wants to work in you and me just as powerfully. So drink deeply of the Spirit. Don't just ask for a sip as if that's all you deserve. Don't seek only to quench your thirst so that you can go back to living as you used to. Don't sell the Holy Spirit short. Ask for a fountain of the Holy Spirit inside of you, a fountain of living water that fills you to overflowing, saturates your heart with the love of the Father, and flows out to everyone you meet. Some of you are familiar with the Catholic composer Grayson Warren Brown. He once challenged, does the presence of this church in this location actually make a difference? What do neighbors say about us? What impact do we have on the city around us? Would it matter if we up and moved and were replaced by a business or by more housing? The Spirit is given to those who make it visible and effective. What about your parish church? If your parish, for some reason, decided to relocate to another neighborhood, would the people who live in your present neighborhood notice? Would the non-Catholics miss you? Not just the building, but would they miss the vitality of you coming out from Sunday worship? Would they miss the care and the social justice involvement that comes out of that church? The first disciples didn't receive the Holy Spirit just that one day on Pentecost. They were immersed in the Spirit again and again and again. The Acts of the Apostles describes at least 7 times that the apostles were filled with the Holy Spirit. And this doesn't count all the other times that never made it into the Bible. The same is true for you and me. Although we receive the Holy Spirit in baptism, we too need more of the Spirit's power and gifts to follow the Lord and proclaim the good news. Pray for it. Keep praying, not just on the Feast of Pentecost, but every day. You may not see wind or fire, but the Spirit will come to you in new and unexpected and even extraordinary ways, not only for your benefit, but for the good of His body, the church. Jesus isn't enough. We need the Holy Spirit. After the resurrection of Jesus, the disciples were still scared and huddled behind locked doors. So are many of us without the Holy Spirit. After the Holy Spirit came, they were changed people. We need that too. There's always more and deepening. God is drawing us in. Intentionally invite the Holy Spirit into your heart. Invite the Holy Spirit to immerse you in Himself. The grace of your baptism and confirmation may be dormant. The Holy Spirit wants to come and give us power over sin, power over our past. The Holy Spirit empowers us to share our experiences of God. So many people are stuck in their faith journey. The stance I try to take toward God is, I say yes to whatever the Holy Spirit asks me to do. Just like Mary said, I am the handmaid of the Lord. Let it be done to me according to your will. God is a gentleman. He's not going to ask you to do what you don't want to do. God only wants the best for you. The Holy Spirit continued to journey with Mary, not just that one day at the Annunciation. Apart from the Holy Spirit, Mary could have done nothing. The same is true for you and me. God chooses us to bring forth His kingdom in this modern world. Reflect today on the experience of being chosen by God. Plan to join me here again next Tuesday as we continue to explore what it means to live under the influence of the Holy Spirit. Give Jesus permission to breathe life into you, to empower you. Take a deep breath right now and pray 10 times. Come, Holy Spirit, come. Come, Holy Spirit, come. Come, Holy Spirit, come. Come, Holy Spirit, come. Come, Holy Spirit, come.